There are people who laughed at you, people who counted you out, people who whispered it's over for them. They saw your fall, but they did not see your God. Right now, you may feel forgotten, overlooked, delayed. But hear this clearly: God has not abandoned you. He is preparing you. This message is not for everyone. It is for the one who cried in silence, for the one who prayed when nobody clapped, for the one who kept believing when nothing made sense. If you are thinking of giving up, do not leave this message, because what God is about to do in your life will silence every voice that doubted you. Stay with this message till the end, because your comeback is not just coming, it is divinely scheduled. God says, "Be still and know that I am God." Silence does not mean absence. Darkness does not mean defeat. Some of God's greatest works happen when nothing seems to be happening. While people think you are stuck, God is rearranging events in your favor. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are in preparation. Every tear you cried had a purpose. Every betrayal taught you strength. Every delay built endurance. God never wastes pain. What hurt you was shaping you. What broke you was rebuilding you. The very season that almost destroyed you will become the testimony that lifts you. God says, "I will prepare a table for you in the presence of your enemies." Notice, not in their absence, in their presence. The same people who questioned your future will watch your elevation in silence. You won't need to argue. You won't need to explain. Your results will speak for you. Your comeback is not powered by revenge. It is powered by obedience. When you chose integrity over shortcuts, when you chose faith over fear, when you chose patience over panic, you activated God's plan. God says, "If you remain faithful, I will do what only I can do." What God is about to restore will be greater than what you lost. Greater peace, greater clarity, greater authority. You didn't survive for nothing. You endured because your life carries purpose. Your comeback will not just surprise people, it will silence them. God says, "Watch what I do next." They saw your struggle. Now they will see your strength. They heard your silence. Now they will witness your victory. Hold on, stay faithful. Your comeback is coming, and when it happens, no one will doubt God again. Most people think that if God is working, they should see instant results. They expect noise, movement, applause, and visible progress. But God often chooses the opposite. When everything around you becomes quiet, when doors close, when people stop checking on you, when opportunities seem to disappear, that is usually the moment God begins his deepest work. Silence is not rejection. Silence is strategy. There are seasons when God intentionally hides his work, not because he is ashamed of you, but because he is protecting what he is building in you. If everything happened loudly and publicly, interference would come too early. Opinions would distract you. Pride might corrupt you. Fear could stop you. So God steps in quietly and says, "Let me handle this without an audience." You may feel like nothing is changing. You wake up, try again, pray again, hope again, and it still looks the same. But heaven does not measure progress the way humans do. While you are measuring visible success, God is measuring your character. While you are asking for results, God is developing roots. And roots always grow in darkness before fruit appears in public. Think about this: the seed does not complain when it is buried. It understands that burial is not the end, it is the beginning. In the same way, the season where you feel hidden, ignored, or buried is often the season where God is strengthening you for what is coming. If he revealed the final outcome too early, you might not survive the process required to reach it. God is working in silence while others are watching you struggle. They assume your quiet means defeat. They assume your slow progress means failure. They assume your patience means weakness. But they do not know what God knows. They do not see what God is arranging behind the scenes. Every delay is alignment. Every closed door is redirection. Every moment of waiting is preparation. There are battles God does not allow you to fight publicly because the victory would attract the wrong attention too soon. There are blessings God delays because your mind, your discipline, or your faith still needs strengthening. Not because you are unworthy, but because what is coming is heavy, and God does not place heavy blessings on weak foundations. Silence is where trust is proven. When God goes quiet, it tests whether you trust His presence or only His performance. Will you keep praying when nothing changes? Will you keep believing when there is no sign? Will you keep obeying when nobody is applauding? This is the question silence asks. And many people quit here. They leave the process too early. They walk away because they mistake quiet for abandonment. But God never leaves in silence. He works in silence. Some of the greatest transformations happen without announcements. No countdown, no warning. One day everything looks the same, and then suddenly everything changes. People call it overnight success. But they never saw the silent nights where God was shaping discipline, humility, endurance, and faith. Right now, God is adjusting things you cannot see. He is removing distractions. He is separating you from people who cannot go where you are going. He is teaching you how to stand without approval. He is training you to hear His voice louder than public opinion. That is why it feels lonely. That is why it feels slow. That is why it feels quiet. But silence is not empty. Silence is full of instruction. And when God finishes His silent work, He does not explain Himself. He does not ask for permission. He does not announce it early. He simply opens the door. Suddenly clarity comes. Suddenly strength rises. Suddenly favor appears. Suddenly, the same people who doubted you begin to watch in confusion. They will say, "When did this happen?" You will know the answer. It happened in the silence. It happened in the waiting. It happened when nobody was clapping. It happened when only God was watching. So do not rush the quiet season. Do not resent it. Do not escape it. Respect it. Because what God builds in silence cannot be destroyed by noise. And when He finally lifts you, your comeback will speak louder than any explanation ever could. Many people walk away from their faith, their purpose, or their dreams because they misunderstand delay. They assume that if something is taking too long, God must be saying no. But delay is not denial. Delay is preparation, protection, and precise timing. God does not work according to human impatience. He works according to divine alignment. If God gave you everything the moment you asked for it, it might destroy you instead of bless you. Some doors are delayed because you are still becoming the person who can walk through them without losing yourself. God is never slow. He is exact. What feels late to you is perfectly timed in heaven. There are seasons when God intentionally slows things down. Not to frustrate you, but to strengthen you. During delay, God teaches discipline, humility, endurance, and trust. He removes the desire for shortcuts. He exposes motives. He builds inner stability so that when the blessing arrives, you do not collapse under its weight. Delay also protects you from what you cannot yet see. Sometimes what you are asking for looks good, but the timing would connect you to the wrong people, the wrong environment, or the wrong version of yourself. God sees outcomes you cannot predict. So He holds back, not to punish you, but to shield you. What you call waiting, God calls shaping. In delay, God reshapes your mindset. He teaches you how to rely on Him instead of results. He stretches your faith beyond convenience. He trains your patience so that you do not panic when things get difficult later. Because the truth is, if you cannot handle waiting, you will not handle sustaining. Delay is where your foundation is laid. Many people receive blessings they are not prepared to maintain. They rise quickly and fall even faster because the inner work was skipped. God refuses to build your future on fragile ground. He strengthens your roots so that when storms come, and they will, you remain standing. This is why some prayers feel unanswered. God is not ignoring them. He is answering them in stages. First comes preparation. Then comes alignment. Then comes release. If you interrupt the process, you delay your own breakthrough. Delay also separates those who truly believe from those who only believe when it is easy. Anyone can praise when doors are open. Anyone can trust when results are visible. But faith is proven in delay. Obedience is refined in waiting. Character is revealed when nothing is happening. God uses delay to quiet external voices and sharpen your internal conviction. When nothing moves, you begin to hear more clearly. You stop chasing validation and start building consistency. You stop relying on emotion and start standing on commitment. What feels like stagnation is often stabilization. There are things God wants to do through you that require maturity. Not talent maturity, not desire discipline. Delay grows these qualities slowly, deeply, and permanently. That is why God does not rush certain destinies. He values longevity over speed. You may be comparing your timeline to others, wondering why they seem ahead while you feel stuck. But God custom designs timing. What worked quickly for someone else could damage you. God does not compete, He prepares. Every delay is a setup for clarity. When the time finally comes, confusion disappears, doubt fades, resistance breaks. The door opens with peace instead of pressure. You will recognize the moment because it will not require force. It will feel aligned, not rushed. And when that moment arrives, you will understand why it could not have happened earlier. You will see how delay saved you from mistakes, heartbreak, and compromise. You will realize that God was not withholding, He was preserving. So do not abandon the process. Do not assume the wait means rejection. Stay faithful in the delay. Stay disciplined in the silence. Stay obedient when nothing seems to change. Because what God delays, He develops. And what He develops, He releases with power, stability, and lasting impact. There is a lie that pain means failure, that suffering is a sign you chose the wrong path, or that God has turned away from you. But pain is often the clearest evidence that your life carries purpose. Easy paths rarely produce strong people, and comfortable journeys do not create powerful callings. What you have endured is not proof that you are weak, it is proof that you are being prepared. Pain exposes what comfort hides. In moments of pressure, your true strength is revealed. When everything is taken away, you discover what cannot be taken from you. God allows certain struggles not to break you, but to show you what you are capable of surviving. The pain you lived through refined you in ways success never could. Some of your hardest seasons were necessary classrooms. They taught you discernment, endurance, and humility. They trained your spirit to depend on God instead of circumstances. Without those lessons, the future God intends for you would overwhelm you. Pain did not disqualify you, it qualified you. Many people see your scars and assume they are signs of weakness. But scars are evidence of healing. They mean something tried to destroy you and failed. Every scar carries a lesson, and every lesson carries authority. That is why your voice has weight now. That is why your presence carries depth. You speak from experience, not theory. Pain also reshaped your priorities. It stripped away what was unnecessary and revealed what truly mattered. You learned who was genuine and who was temporary. You learned to stand alone when support disappeared. These experiences were not accidental. God was refining your focus, removing distractions, and sharpening your purpose. There are battles God allows you to fight, not because you are strong, but because you will become strong through them. The struggle increased your capacity. The pressure expanded your endurance. The rejection trained your resilience. What once would have crushed you no longer has power over you. Your pain created compassion. It gave you the ability to understand others at a deeper level. It softened your heart without weakening your strength. God often uses wounded people to heal others because they know what it feels like to hurt and still choose hope. Pain also built authority. When you speak now, it carries truth. When you lead, it carries wisdom. When you stand, It carries confidence, not arrogance, but assurance. You are not easily shaken because you have already survived what you thought you wouldn't. There were moments when you questioned everything. You wondered if the struggle was worth it, if the prayers mattered, if the journey made sense. But even in those moments, God was shaping your faith. Faith that has never been tested is fragile. Faith that has been tested becomes unbreakable. You are not here by accident. You did not survive by chance. There were moments you should not have made it, but you did. That alone is evidence that your life carries meaning beyond what you can currently see. God protected you when you were unaware. He strengthened you when you felt weak. He sustained you when you wanted to quit. The pain you endured separated you from shallow living. It forced depth. It demanded growth. It required transformation. Without it, you might have remained comfortable but unfulfilled. Instead, you were shaped for purpose. Do not resent your pain. Redeem it. Use it. Let it remind you how far you have come. Let it fuel gratitude instead of bitterness. Let it become the foundation of your testimony. Because one day, the very pain that nearly destroyed you will become the reason someone else believes again. And when you look back, you will understand that what hurt you did not happen to stop you. It happened to prepare you for what only you were meant to carry. There will be people who never believed in you, not because you lacked ability, but because your future made them uncomfortable. They saw your potential before you did, and instead of encouraging it, they tried to minimize it. Doubt from others is often less about your weakness and more about their fear of what you might become. When you were struggling, they spoke freely. When you were unsure, they were confident in their opinions about your limits. They labeled you based on your lowest moments and assumed that was your final chapter. But people who judge you during your breaking season rarely understand your building season. God allows doubt around you for a reason. It reveals who is for you and who is only around when you are convenient. It strengthens your independence from human approval. If everyone believed in you from the beginning, you might have relied too heavily on their validation instead of God's direction. The voices that questioned you shaped your discipline. Every doubt forced you to go deeper, work harder, and grow stronger. You learned to move without applause. You learned to believe without evidence. You learned to stand alone when support disappeared. These lessons were not comfortable, but they were necessary. People who doubt you often speak from their own limitations. They project their fears onto your future. They assume your ceiling is the same as theirs. But God never measures your destiny by someone else's capacity to understand it. What He placed inside you was not meant to be approved by everyone, only fulfilled. There will come a moment when your consistency outlasts their criticism. When your growth becomes undeniable. When the same mouths that doubted you fall silent, not because you confronted them, but because your progress did the talking. Silence is often the most powerful response to doubt. God's way of vindicating you is not argument, it is elevation. He does not waste time defending you verbally. He changes your position. He opens doors that cannot be explained away. He produces results that cannot be denied. And when that happens, words become unnecessary. Some people will try to rewrite history. They will act as if they supported you all along. Others will distance themselves quietly. Both reactions are signs that your season has changed. Growth exposes intentions. Your rise will make some uncomfortable. Not everyone who doubted you will celebrate you. Some will struggle with jealousy. Others will feel convicted by your discipline. But their reaction is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is obedience. God never promotes to impress people. He promotes to fulfill purpose. When He lifts you, it is not to prove a point. It is to place you where you can make impact. The silence of doubters is simply a byproduct of divine alignment. Remember, the same people who overlooked you in private will witness your progress publicly. The difference is that now, your confidence will not come from their recognition. It will come from knowing who sustained you when nobody else did. Let their doubt remind you of your journey. Let it strengthen your humility. Let it deepen your gratitude. You did not rise because they believed. You rose because you stayed faithful when they didn't. And when your life begins to speak louder than any explanation, the noise of doubt will fade. Not because you demanded silence, but because God's work in you made it unnecessary. Many people want a comeback, but few understand what truly activates it. It is not anger. It is not proving a point. It is not chasing recognition. A real comeback is born from obedience, quiet, consistent obedience when no one is watching and nothing seems to be changing. Obedience is choosing what is right over what is easy. It is staying faithful when shortcuts look tempting. It is doing the small, unseen things with the same integrity you would show on a public stage. God pays close attention to what you do in private, because private obedience determines public elevation. There are moments when obedience feels unrewarded. You do the right thing and still face resistance. You walk the honest path and still experience delay. But obedience is never wasted. Every choice aligned with God's will builds momentum you cannot immediately see. God responds to obedience not always with instant results, but with long-term positioning. When you obey, He begins arranging circumstances, connections, and opportunities in ways that favor your future. You may not notice the shift at first, but something changes in the spiritual atmosphere around you. Obedience requires trust. It asks you to move without full understanding, to keep going without visible confirmation, to surrender control when outcomes are uncertain. This kind of trust separates those who believe in theory from those who believe in practice. Many miss their comeback because they try to control timing. They want God's promise without God's process. But obedience means following even when the instructions do not make sense. God does not reveal the entire plan at once because faith grows in steps, not in leaps. Obedience also protects you from self-sabotage. When emotions rise, obedience grounds you. When pride tempts you, obedience humbles you. When fear tries to stop you, obedience keeps you moving forward. It becomes your anchor in unstable seasons. Some of your hardest decisions were tests of obedience. Choosing patience over retaliation, choosing honesty over advantage, choosing faith over panic. Those moments mattered more than you realized. They shaped the kind of person God could trust with greater responsibility. Obedience positions you for favor that cannot be forced. You cannot manipulate God's timing, but you can align yourself with it. When alignment happens, resistance decreases. Doors open naturally. Opportunities arrive without struggle. What once required effort begins to flow. God does not promote based on talent alone. He promotes based on trustworthiness. Talent may get attention, but obedience sustains elevation. Without it, success becomes unstable. With it, success becomes purposeful. Obedience is also an act of surrender. It says, I trust you more than my understanding. That surrender invites God's involvement in ways striving never can. When you let go of control, God steps in with clarity and direction. Your comeback will not be loud at first. It will begin quietly through alignment, discipline, and consistency. Then suddenly, acceleration comes. What took years to build will begin to move quickly, because obedience prepared the ground. People may not see the connection between your faithfulness and your breakthrough, but you will. You will know that what changed was not luck, it was alignment. Not chance, it was obedience. And when your comeback unfolds, it will not need explanation. It will carry peace instead of pressure, stability instead of chaos, purpose instead of pride. Because what obedience activates, God sustains. There comes a moment when God restores you so completely that words become unnecessary. No arguments, no explanations. No need to defend your journey. Restoration speaks for itself. When God steps in to rebuild what was broken, the outcome carries a clarity that cannot be questioned. Many people try to explain their growth, justify their past, or prove that they have changed. But when restoration is genuine, it removes the need for validation. God does not restore halfway. He restores in a way that closes mouths and settles doubts. What He rebuilds stands firm. Restoration is not about returning you to who you were before the damage. It is about elevating you beyond what you lost. God does not simply replace, He transforms. The version of you that emerges carries wisdom, strength, and peace that did not exist before. That is why restoration often feels unfamiliar at first. You are not going back, you are moving forward. When God restores you, He also restores your confidence, not arrogance, but assurance. You no longer move with insecurity or fear of judgment. You know who you are because you know who sustained you. Your stability becomes evidence that something real has taken place. Restoration also changes how people see you. The same ones who remember your broken season will struggle to reconcile it with who you have become. They may search for explanations, but there will be none available. Growth will be evident, not explained. God's restoration heals more than circumstances. It heals identity. It repairs trust in yourself. It rebuilds your ability to hope again. What once felt impossible becomes natural. What once required effort begins to flow with peace. This kind of restoration does not announce itself. It unfolds quietly and steadily. One day you realize you no longer react the way you used to. You no longer chase what once controlled you. You no longer fear what once paralyzed you. That inner change is the truest sign of restoration. When God restores you, your past loses its power to define you. Mistakes no longer carry shame. Failures no longer dictate your future. The weight lifts. Freedom replaces regret, and that freedom is visible. People will notice your calm, your clarity, your consistency. They will see strength without bitterness, confidence without pride, success without desperation. Those qualities cannot be imitated. They are the result of healing. Restoration also restores your purpose. God reconnects you to what matters. He realigns your focus. He removes distractions that once drained you. You begin to move with intention instead of urgency. Direction replaces confusion. You will no longer feel the need to convince anyone that you have changed. The proof will be in how you live, how you respond, and how you grow. Silence becomes your statement. God's restoration speaks louder than any defense ever could. It answers questions without words. It corrects assumptions without confrontation. It closes chapters without explanation. And when people ask how it happened, you may not even have the language to explain it fully. You will simply know that God stepped in where you could not. He healed what you could not fix. He restored what you thought was lost forever. This is the power of true restoration. It does not seek attention. It commands respect. It does not demand belief. It produces evidence. When God restores you, your life becomes the message. And that message does not need words.